I'm going to go ahead and start working on the engine bay. I think I'm going to, still debating, but I think I'm going to go ahead and try and remove everything, sand the engine bay down, clean it up, and respray it. So a lot of the paint came off with the pressure washer when I cleaned the shell. So I'm going to start with this little janky harness over here. Looks like I'm going to need to order some relays and some stuff that's been jumped. Get some actual battery cable instead of looks like speaker wire. And yeah, get everything pulled out of here, cleaned up, and see what I need. Working on pulling the subframe today and getting everything stripped out of this engine bay so I can paint. I'm going to paint the subframe as well and some of the parts. Already got this side all pulled apart. I'm going to get new Z32 calipers. Looking at the parts, it does have a custom made angle kit on it, so it's got extended lower control arms and also you can see the knuckles been cut and re-welded shorter on the hub, so short knuckles with the extended lowers, and then the aftermarket tie rods. So I'll start pulling apart this other side, pull the steering rack because I think that's leaking, get a replacement for that. Same over here, doing Z32 calipers. We'll get stainless lines, so we'll pull all this stuff apart, repaint, sand down and repaint some of this stuff that's starting to rust, get it looking decent, and put it all back together. Alright, everything's out on this side. Got a outer ball joint I got to replace on this side. Ball joint. I got a outer tie rod in I got to replace on this side. Looks like we're missing the clips that hold the brake lines in, so I'll have to get those when I do stainless lines. And I'd like to try and find some new hard lines, as these look pretty bent up. So I'll work on getting the steering rack out. Looks like just a couple bolts on the bottom. Undo it from the column there, drop that, and then drop this subframe piece, then sand it down and clean it up and paint it. Alright, subframe's out. I dropped it with the rack. So I'll go ahead and flip this over, get the rack unbolted, and then clean this thing up. I got solid rack bushings on this. It does look like the rack's leaking, so I'll have to probably replace this rack. Went ahead and pulled the master cylinder and the clutch master. Looks like this car was an auto originally, I think. Looks like that hole was cut for a clutch master. Probably will go ahead and just pull these lines out of the way because I want to get new lines anyway, but I've never pulled a vacuum booster, so this is the first time, so I don't know if anybody else ever has, but maybe interesting. So you got your 2 bolts that hold your master on out here, and then the inside of the car. Probably gonna be hard to see. There's the bracket that's holding the master cylinder on. So there's 2 nuts on this side and then 2 nuts on the other side of the steering column. And then you have your, let me see if you can see up there, that's the bolt and clip attached to the brake pedal. So you got to undo that as well, and then I think, and then that vacuum booster should come out. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and do that. Pull that out of the way. And really the only other thing I got to do in here before I can start sanding and prepping for repaint is pull the the sway bar, and then figure out how I'm going to get the harness out of the way. I believe there's a way to fish like smaller connectors through one side and then just pull the whole harness off to the one side, I believe. But I'll have to do a little research on that and then get that out of the way and then start sanding this down and prime it up. Also going to clean up these holes here that were cut for intercooler. Go ahead and make those symmetrical, cut the overhanging metal off, and get a little rubber grommet to put around the edges, smooth it all out, make it look decent. Same over here, but not as bad. This one's been cut out a lot more. May just smooth this out and then get a little rubber grommet to go around the edges. Then we pressure wash the subframe. Came out really good, letting that dry. And we'll just throw a coat of paint on this as well. And then I'll have to source a new steering rack and pull the rod, replace the one tie rod in, and then pull the inner tie rods. And it looks like there's spacers on here as well. And transfer those over to a new rack. Then really just throw some touch-up paint on some of these arms and then put the front end back together. Go ahead and order the parts for the brakes. We'll go from there. Got the booster out. It was a complete pain. Those bolts on the back side were not fun to get to. That's what it looks like. Definitely had a fluid leak at some point. It's all rusted up, so try and clean that up and repaint that, make that look better. Drop the sway bar out. It's over here. Sway bar's got poly bushings on it already. Next, I'm gonna pull this harness out. So I figured out, just had a couple connectors through the fender hole on the passenger side. That went to those little, I guess, body harness or chassis harness ECUs. So I was able to pull that out. So I just have to pop the clips, cross, fish everything through here where the main fuse box is, and I should be able to fish everything out through this side and then basically just have it hang down here while I paint the engine bay and everything. So it'll be all out of the way. And then just have to rerun everything back. So start doing that.